Greetings, family, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray, family, that you are very, very, very well in all your ways, and that you're moving into living life very much on your own terms, in your own narrative, and that you're finding the alternative news, because there is a global shift that is going on. There is a global reset that is going on, and it's not the reset that they lied to you about. It has nothing to do with the New World Order. But as we shift into a higher dimension, as we shift into expanded beings, the prison planet is no longer big enough for us, and that's why we're witnessing a revolution in Kenya. And the thing is, family, in this information age, we have understood, understood, and overstood how Babylon neocolonized us. The information has gone viral through the TikToks of this world. Definitely make sure you're following us on TikTok, family. We're reporting on the Kenya revolution in real time. But on all these platforms, Kenyans and Africans in general have the Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, have really been brought up to speed on what Babylon has been doing, how Babylon has been able to keep Africa on this perpetual cycle of debt, poverty, and exploitation. And one of the biggest things that is emerging is that a lot of the aid, this humanitarian aid, because, Babylon created this massive PR campaign, maybe PR companies as well, best believe, in the 80s and 90s, where they became the face of the humanitarian effort, the face of international aid, and they were giving all this money to Africa. But, although that stopped happening, or actually what happened is, the money that Africans abroad send back to their families every month started to surpass the small money that Babylon was giving to Africa in terms of aid. That now there was a kind of a relief, and then China came in and totally changed up the dynamics, although they were trying to entrap us as well. Russia is also coming in and offering their side, helping us to get to weasel our way even further out of the neo-colonial grip of the Frances and the divided kingdoms of this world. But once we started generating more than what Babylon was giving us, that's when the game started to change. That's when the game started to change, and more we started to see Babylon started to become more sloppy, and we all recognize now how their international aid is tied into them dictating in a paternalistic and derogatory way how Africa should run its affair. All Western aid is connected to, you must include things like LGBTQ, whether it's part of your religion or your culture or not, they don't care. They start telling you must have these seeds. They create all these deals with their corporations, because we all know one of the biggest funders to at least Eastern Africa right now has been the divided states, and they're run by lobby groups. So the corporation is literally running the US government and hence the world. So then you're told you have to take all our GMO food, you have to take all this, you have to take all that. So legislation will block something in the divided states, and the companies will look for the African governments, put pressure on them, and then make them import the poisons for their own people. It's been happening over and over, and we've been watching this as a train wreck, unable to really do anything. Because we would say we're going natural, we would say we're boycotting these products, but then millions of our brothers and sisters would be caught into the trap. But now, family, a lot of people are starting to see where there's aid, there's manipulation. Where there's aid, there's kind of like a Western dictatorship that often harms us as an African people, harms our African culture, harms our African heritage, and doesn't even take us into consideration. It's like they still think we're slaves and the colonized. Because to be honest, family, we really are. Colonialism and slavery never ended. It just took on a brand new face, and that face is the corporation. And so now, family, there's this article that talks about how Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of Congo received almost half of the official development assistant aid to the continent. And the reason I even wanted to share this story, family, is because this shows you which countries, which countries are currently facing the most, or which governments are currently facing the largest oppression from the Babylon system. And that's why you can see them, you know why? That's why you can see endless war in DRC, where they even tried to remove the prime minister or the president recently, Tshisekedi, where you can see Tanzania all of a sudden after, because this came out saying that ever since 2022, this has been happening, family. So you can imagine why now, because there's something about Sululu. She's former WEF as well, family, and she's just been too silent. And things are happening where, land could never be owned in Tanzania. All of a sudden, you're hearing Dubai and all these other nations are buying up millions of acres of land in Tanzania. Well, I don't know if it's millions, but it's a lot of land in Tanzania. And you can understand because they're one of the countries that are receiving the biggest aid. And the aid is a cycle because they've gotten us into this debt trap, and Africans have not been able to stand up and say, yo, we need amnesty for 5 years. You've been giving this money to all these corrupt people. You've brought down our economies. You've killed so many of our people. Take a break and allow us to have amnesty so we can fix our accounts. We never even have time to fix for our accounts. Every year there's interest, there's loans, there's this, and then sometimes there's loans that African countries have paid for maybe 20, 30 times over, because just by the interest alone. And that's why it's very alarming, family, when we see that the countries that receive the biggest aid since 2022, Kenya, we now understand why Kenya is under so much pressure. Tanzania, Uganda, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, that's where their focus is, family. Because they've decided West Africa is having a revolution, Russia is helping out West Africa, so we're going to go east. And France has lost West Africa, because France was supposed to be the one that had the colonial power that was keeping that stronghold. And that's why they're coming east, family. Anyway, definitely consider supporting us, family. It's not going to work because now everything is being televised. Their oppression, their neocolonialism is being televised just as much as the revolution is being televised. And what is happening in Kenya is inspiring the whole of East Africa. Africa will be free in our generation. It's a must, family. Tuko pamoja.